Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Samurai History, where today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite episodes of Samurai Champloo, the Shogun's Ghost. Anyways, let's get started. The Ghost in the Castle. It's midnight, and a typhoon is raging outside. The wind is howling, and rain is pouring down in sheets. Inside, however, all is silent. It's in the innermost chambers of Edo Castle, where the Shogun rules from. Rumors have been swirling that the ghost of a fallen samurai has been haunting these halls for weeks. Ever since guards have begun vanishing into thin air after hearing strange sounds in the dead of night, and whispers have turned to screams. As the rumors spread throughout the castle, no one dares to speak the shogun's name aloud, lest they too fall victim to the vengeful spirit. Even the elite samurai who guard the shogun's chambers are too afraid to enter at night. So when Lord Toru arrives with orders to investigate, no one is willing to accompany him. Alone, he slowly approaches the door. As he reaches out to knock, a blood-curdling scream pierces the night. He recoils in surprise, but his curiosity is piqued. What could possibly be lurking behind that door? With a deep breath, he pushes it open and steps inside. Setting loosely based on Tokugawa Ieyasu's inner court after his death in 1616. At this point in history, Japan has been ruled by the Tokugawa shogunate for nearly a century. After centuries of civil war, Japan had finally entered an era of peace and prosperity. This allowed culture and the arts to flourish, which also led to an increase in ghost stories. Japanese folklore is full of spirits that are said to wander the earth unfinished business. These spirits, known as yurei, are often depicted as vengeful and malevolent. Beings who are capable of interacting with the living world. In some cases, the yurei may appear as translucent figures or even as apparitions, their forms distorted by their anger or sadness. Sometimes they might even make regular human noises, like screaming. If you were a Japanese peasant, this would be terrifying, because you believe that if a yurei interacts with you, you will be doomed. But for a modern viewer, it's still pretty scary. To be honest, the fact that the ghost is able to interact with the world around it, and that it's haunting the shogun, makes me think that it's less of a ghost story and more of a murder mystery. Who killed the ghost and why? And more importantly, is there any way to stop it? For me, it's always nice when a story sets up its genre early on. It gives you something to compare the rest of the story to. So when Lord Toru gets to the shogun's chambers and hears screaming, it's not really a surprise, but it's still a great moment. You know that whatever's going on in that room is bound to be scary and mysterious, and you'll probably want to hear more. Also, foreshadowing is my favorite literary device ever, and this is a perfect example of it. The camera lingers on Lord Toru's face, capturing his determination and resolve as he braces himself to confront whatever horrors may await him inside. As the tension builds, he takes a deep breath and pushes the door open, revealing a dark and eerie interior.
What?
At this moment, the audience knows that something is wrong. Why else would the door be locked, and why would the servants be hiding? Something terrible must have happened here. Whatever it is, it's clear that Toru is about to find out. Now, I don't know what it is about old-timey doors that makes them so satisfying to open. Maybe it's the squeaks, or the fact that they almost never open the whole way. Or maybe it's just me. But every time I see a door open in a period drama, I just love it. It's a simple effect, but it's done really well here. And it's the perfect setup for whatever's about to happen next. The mystery deepens. Stepping inside, Toru finds himself in a dimly lit antechamber. Cobwebs and dust motes dance in the faint moonlight filtering through cracks in the boarded windows. The air is heavy with the scent of decay, and a single withered flower lies abandoned on the floor. A chill runs down his spine as he realizes that he is not alone. Toru slowly begins to explore the shogun's chambers, each step echoing ominously in the silence. In the main chamber, he discovers a half-opened scroll depicting scenes from a samurai's life, complete with annotations written in an elegant hand. Though faded with time, the images of battles, landscapes, and poetry readings hint at the rich life of the noble warrior whose spirit is said to haunt these halls. Toru's curiosity piqued. He carefully examines the scroll, hoping to uncover clues about the shogun's final days. As he does, he notices a small indentation in the wall, concealing a secret compartment. Inside, he finds a set of well-kept armor and weapons, suggesting that the shogun was prepared for action even in death. The discovery both intrigues and unnerves Toru as he considers the possibility that the shogun's spirit may still be active in the mortal realm. We are now introduced to one of the most iconic shots in anime history. There's just something about a lone samurai standing in front of a giant wooden door that just hits different. Like, I don't know, maybe it's the anticipation of whatever is going to come out of the door. Or maybe it's just the fact that the shot looks really cool. But either way, it's a great moment, and it's only made better by the fact that it's scored perfectly. As Toru continues his investigation, he uncovers more evidence of the shogun's final moments. A shattered vase lies on the floor, a testament to a struggle that may have taken place here. And a blood-stained katana suggests that the shogun met a violent end. Driven by his duty to uncover the truth, Toru vows to solve the mystery of the shogun's death, even if it means facing the wrath of his vengeful spirit. Confronting the ghost, the tension rises as Toru explores the castle, each creaking floorboard and rustling curtain heightening his awareness of the unseen presence that surrounds him. Suddenly, he hears chains dragging metal moans. Startled, he whirls around to find an emaciated samurai dragging himself closer and closer. His skeletal fingers reach out towards Toru and his hollow eyes burn with an otherworldly fire. Terrified, Toru backs away, realizing that he has stumbled upon the very ghost that has been plaguing the castle. But as the ghost draws nearer, Toru's fear turns to confusion. The ghost seems to be beckoning him, urging him to follow. With a mix of trepidation and determination, Toru finds himself drawn to the ghost, compelled to discover the truth behind his spectral form. Could this ghost be the key to unraveling the mystery of the shogun's death? You know, for a ghost. He sure is taking his sweet time getting to Toru. It's like he's playing a game of cat and mouse, and he's really bad at it. I mean, just come on, dude. If you're gonna haunt someone, at least try to scare them a little bit. But this ghost is like, nah, I'm good. And then he just walks right past Toru. I guess he just wants to lead him somewhere. Well, I hope he's not leading him to a trap. That would be really awkward if Toru got killed by a ghost. Okay, imagine the headline, local lord gets ghosted to death. But hey, maybe that's part of the mystery, who knows. As the ghost continues to beckon him forward, Toru follows deeper into the castle, unaware of the dangers that may lie ahead. The ghost leads him through a labyrinth of corridors, each turn revealing more secrets of the castle's haunting past. Finally, they come to a stop in a small, dusty chamber hidden away from the prying eyes of the living. Here the ghost disappears, leaving Toru in darkness, confronted by the truth of his lord's untimely demise. The pacing of this scene is fantastic. You're really made to feel like you're exploring the castle along with Toru. And the use of shadows and silence is really effective in building suspense. Just when you think it's going to be a slow burn, the ghost shows up and it's all over in a flash. It's a great example of how sometimes less is more. So if you're like me and you believe in ghosts, then I've got the perfect story for you. This is the story of the shogun's ghost. Long ago in Japan lived a mighty warlord named Tokugawa Ieyasu. He founded the Tokugawa shogunate, which basically made him the emperor of Japan. Now, even though Ieyasu was a good leader, he had a very big problem. The Korean peninsula had been a thorn in his side ever since he took over Japan. He kept sending spies to try to assassinate him, and they even tried invading once. But the shogun's ninja thwarted their every move. So Ieyasu decided that enough was enough, and that he was going to invade Korea himself. He raised a massive army and began marching south. But before he could get there, he died of a heart attack, leaving his son Ieyasu to carry on his legacy. Ieyasu was only 18 years old when he inherited the throne, but he was eager to prove himself. And what better way to do that than to finish his father's last wish? Just one small problem, though. Ieyasu was also kind of a coward. Sure, he was happy to fight alongside his elite samurai in pitched battles. But when it came to sneaking around in the dark and doing the dirty work, well, he was a little green around the gills. For example, there was this one time when he was 14 and his dad sent him out to spy on some rebel samurai. Ieyasu was so nervous he accidentally revealed his presence by sneezing really loud right in front of them. Another time he pissed his dad off so bad that Ieyasu locked him in a room for 2 weeks without any food or water. Yeah, turns out being the emperor's son isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Anyway, young Ieyasu was struggling to live up to his father's reputation, until one day his advisors came up with a plan. He said, "Hey, Remember how your dad always talked about punishing those pesky Koreans? Well, we have the perfect opportunity to do it now. You see, right before Ieyasu died, he had ordered his generals to conquer the Korean peninsula at all costs. But there was one small problem. The general who led the invasion force refused. Turns out he didn't want to get his hands dirty fighting some random foreigners. So he tried to convince Ieyasu to let him appoint a deputy in his place. But Ieyasu wasn't having it. He wanted his generals to obey his orders without question, no matter how horrible they were. So he executed the general and replaced him with one of his most trusted samurai, a man named Sasaki Kojiro. Now Sasaki was a legendary warrior who had been undefeated in battle. Plus he was willing to do whatever it took to win, even if it meant burning entire villages to the ground. In fact, that's exactly what happened. When he arrived at his new post, Sasaki assembled his men and gave them two orders: kill or be killed, and raze every building to the ground. Then he divided his forces into 3 groups and assigned each one to a different village. Then he set off to watch the destruction happen for himself. When Sasaki reached the first village, he saw something that made him stop in his tracks. It was a beautiful place with nice houses and friendly people. And honestly, he didn't feel like destroying it, so he called over his second-in-command and told him to burn it down in his place. But when Sasaki finished watching, he realized that his subordinate had made a terrible mistake. Instead of targeting the buildings, he had set fire to the houses, and now innocent people were running for their lives. Enraged, Sasaki drew his katana and rushed into the fray. He cut down the man who started the fire and rescued as many villagers as he could. And that's when he heard a voice. Well, looks like someone has a conscience now. It was the ghost of the samurai whose life Sasaki had taken, and he wasn't happy. He promised us death, yet here we are still alive. How dare you defy the dead? The ghost lunged at Sasaki, but he easily cut him down. Looks like you can't even protect the weak even in death, Sasaki taunted. But the ghost kept coming back for more. No matter how many times Sasaki cut him down, he couldn't stay away. And Sasaki soon grew tired of it, so he did the only logical thing he could think of. Cut off the ghost's head and threw it in a nearby lake. And finally, peace returned to the village. Sasaki continued his mission, but he never forgot about the ghost. He knew that he had done something terrible, and he was afraid that it would happen again. But as it turned out, his fears were justified, because when he reached the second village, he saw something that made him stop in his tracks. It was a beautiful place with nice houses and friendly people, and honestly, he didn't feel like destroying it. So he called over his second-in-command and told him to burn it down in his place. But when Sasaki finished watching, he realized that his subordinate had made a terrible mistake. Instead of targeting the buildings, he had set fire to the houses, and now innocent people were running for their lives. Enraged, Sasaki drew his katana and rushed into the fray. He cut down the man who started the fire and rescued as many villagers as he could, and that's when he heard a voice. Well, looks like someone has a conscience now. It was the ghost of the samurai whose life Sasaki had taken, and he wasn't happy. You promised us death, yet here we are still alive. How dare you defy the dead? The ghost lunged at Sasaki, but he easily cut him down. It looks like you can't even protect the weak, even in death, Sasaki taunted. But the ghost kept coming back for more. No matter how many times Sasaki cut him down, he couldn't stay away. And Sasaki soon grew tired of it, so he did the only logical thing he could think of. He cut off the ghost's head and threw it in a nearby lake, and finally peace returned to the village. Sasaki continued his mission, but he never forgot about the ghost. He knew that he had done something terrible, and he was afraid that it would happen again. But as it turned out, his fears were justified, because when he reached the third village, he saw something that made him stop in his tracks. It was a beautiful place with nice houses and friendly people, and honestly, he didn't feel like destroying it, so he called over his second-in-command and told him to burn it down in his place. But when Sasaki finished watching, he realized that his subordinate had made a terrible mistake. Instead of targeting the buildings, he had set fire to the houses, and now innocent people were running for their lives. Enraged, Sasaki drew his katana and rushed into the fray. He cut down the man who started the fire and rescued as many villagers as he could, and that's when he heard a voice. Well, looks like someone has a conscience now. It was the ghost of the samurai whose life Sasaki had taken, and he wasn't happy. You promised us death, yet here we are still alive. How dare you defy the dead? The ghost lunged at Sasaki, but he easily cut him down. Looks like you can't even protect the weak, even in death, Sasaki taunted. But the ghost kept coming back for more. No matter how many times Sasaki cut him down, he couldn't stay away. And Sasaki soon grew tired of it, so he did the only logical thing he could think of. Cut off the ghost's head and threw it in a nearby lake. And finally, peace returned to the village. From then on, Sasaki became known as the fallen Ronin, a samurai, who had betrayed his lord and brought death and destruction wherever he went. The villagers prayed every night that he would pass them by. But sometimes he would still appear in their dreams, a warning of the danger that he posed. As for Sasaki, he eventually came to regret his actions, but it was too late. The damage was done, and he was hunted for the rest of his life. Some say his ghost still wanders the countryside, searching for the one who betrayed him, and others say that if you listen closely, you can hear the screams of the villagers he slaughtered echoing in the wind. The end. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and leave a like. Till next time.